So, welcome everybody. This is Tim Lewis of LibertyBlock, along with Kedar and Romy and my partner Anthony Emmon. Here at LibertyBlock, we've come to realize that one of the things that we found that is currently worrisome in the community is the lack of a solid community voice. That early on, while launching the network, some of the early Zoom calls and conferences allowed people from a lot of different BPs to really get ideas around the direction of the network. And although the Telegram chats have been great, there's not necessarily an outbound voice of what's going on in the network to allow people both from the inside and the outside to really see what the current issues might be and then actually talk them out, which I think is important to do. So we decided that we would start to kick off a weekly, completely optional call. So we are going to, from this moment on, start a Monday morning, 7 a.m. PST, 1500 GMT video call, a Zoom call. We will be, post this conference, we'll be putting the address inside the mainnet BP Telegram, as well as many other places that we can to schedule this call. We'll do that the night before, and we'll try to, please, as a BP, mainnet BP, sign up, join on. We'll try to figure out the best way to manage participants for this. But ideally, we can go over some of the direction of what's going on in the EOS network, what's going on with the referendums, and what's going on with the community. Then we'll be posting those hopefully live outbound towards YouTube and Facebook to make sure that the rest of the world knows that we're leading this network in a transparent and community-driven manner. That's one of the things that, Kedar, what are your thoughts on the current community direction? Where do you think we need to go?
I think we've lost touch a lot with each other since the beginning. We were working on a lot of proposals, joint initiatives, and all that sort of stuff at the beginning. And as it's gotten more and more impersonal, especially the initial crew of VPs that started, like the first 35, 40 or so that were very active at the beginning, not all of them are up in the rankings still. There's been a lot of new VPs coming in that aren't quite as meshed together with the group. So all those combined, we've kind of lost a little bit of the cohesiveness we had at the start. So it's a good way to try and get everybody back on board together.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And so ideally, this will be a place that others can join in. We can figure out how it's going to be run, but it can be a cohesive voice from the BP community to be able to detail some of the work that needs to be done, and we can all get to it together. I think that the BP summits have been fantastic, but those are few, far between, and expensive. So not everyone gets to join those. Some of them are, some people are, it's travel prohibitive, depending on where they're coming from. A lot of work does get done there, but it also is not outward facing. The public doesn't get to see a lot of the work that's getting done there. And ideally, we can all jump on these calls and be able to have a better voice, both internally and outbound. So that being said, one of the things that I wanted to begin with in this and bring up to the community is that the standard for proposing improvements on the network, I think, is haphazard and sloppy. One of the things within helping build out this is that there should be a true academic standard that is met when we look at proposals and referendums. That hasn't occurred here. Back when the early beginnings of and continued now through the improvements of Bitcoin, there was a clear standard that was set in the Bitcoin Improvement Protocol, which was managed through the GitHub repo. I'm going to go ahead and share this out with everyone here. And in that GitHub repo, you were able to clearly define a ranking and an order of the improvements that were being proposed. People could go in, understand what they were, it was a commonplace for process formatting, understanding where the actual improvements were going to take place. And then obviously they have a different method. Now we do have the referendum method for being able to vote on those, but I personally would really like to see a standard put into place. In researching this, Ethereum, obviously Ethereum does the same thing. Their Ethereum improvement protocol has been maintained and it meets an academic standard that we should hopefully adhere to meet. This is a great place for it, and so we can have an ordered format of where these improvement protocols stand. I will nod to EOS Canada, who had created the EOS Enhancement Proposals website, eeps.io, which I think is actually fantastic, but I think it should be maintained in the mainnet Git repo. I think that this is a community-wide process. And Kedar, do you have any comments on what you think how that should be run?
Yeah, I think initially we were putting all the proposals. EOS Authority has the tracks of proposals, and we're kind of using that for block producer proposals that require 1521 approval. But now that we have the referendum, we have like two different avenues for creating these proposals, kind of, and there's no joint common ground for standards and stuff. Yeah, I'm with you on that. We think we should use the EOS mainnet repo. Like it's in the EOS Canada repo right now. If we can move that over, that'd be great. And also in general, I think that any code that's associated with these improvement proposals should go into the EOS mainnet repo instead of into individual block producer repos. We've seen a couple where a single block producer hosts the code for a proposal, even though 6 or 7 block producers contribute code to that proposal. And to the outward-facing community, it looks like, oh, the block producer that's hosting the code did all the work for it. But in reality, they might have only written about 10% of the code associated with that. And that should be reflected. And it shouldn't be, I did it, you did it sort of thing. It should just be, this is an EOS improvement. It's on the mainnet repo, and it gives it a sort of authority as well that it comes from everybody and not just the producer.
Absolutely, and then it will have have also the whomever the people that are contributing to that code base will be given the nod within the GitHub repo itself. The inquiring, inquisitive public can go see whom actually was a part of engineering the solution and being a part of actually bringing that solution rather than an individual BP. The idea here would be that we need to be in contact with Gem. I think Gem is running the main repo right now, so we can get Gem out. I think we should initiate conversations and communication with him about this and see whether or not we can get him to do that. I think we should also reach out, obviously, to EOS Canada, since they did initiate the EEPS, and ask whether or not that we could port EEPS is the infrastructure, look at that infrastructure and port it over to the mainnet. I think it was well done. It just needs to be done on a community base. So we've got we're going to actively take notes during these type of meetings, and then we're going to come up with some action items on that should be one of the first action items. So once we can get that kind of solved, we can have a unified proposal system when leading into the referendum. The referendum is here and it's good, but nobody's voting. We need to make sure that we're going to be able to push these things through and get the public involved. So ideally, this will be a space where the public can hear about some of the weekly, more important referendums and the state that the referendums are in. So we can get some movement forward on thoughts for that. So we're going to go over a couple of them here today and kind of get everyone used to some of the idea about what these referendums are and why they're important. Hopefully here this can be a sounding point for other people to be able to bring up thoughts, and some are going to be radically in favor one way or another. Some are going to be hopefully there's going to be a variance on who cares about what as we go forward. but there's a couple important ones right now. The first one we should start off with, or I'd like to start off with, is deleting the EOS core arbitration forum. Kedar, you got any thoughts on deleting ECAF, where this came from and where it needs to be?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to where the initial, I guess, where I finally noticed that, ECAF seemed to be kind of dead in the water was when we had the first lost key ruling come out. ECAF tried to change the key. They tried to issue a ruling that would change the key for somebody that had lost their keys. And I thought personally, that we signed it. So LibertyBlock signed it. Who else signed it? Like EOS Canada signed it.
Canada, yeah.
It was like 2 or 3 of us that signed it. I thought it would pass, no problem. I didn't think there was a major issue with, ECAF. We've never denied an ECAF ruling pass, but it didn't even come close to passing. And 5 of us or so signed it. And since then, I've noticed more like just a lot of, I guess,
dissent from ECAF. This is a mutiny.
Yeah, that seems like a good way to put it. Yeah. And the delete ECAF thing. This surprised me. I did not expect where we are right now in terms of votes on 1.6%. 99% yes for deleting ECAF. It's not the biggest referendum anymore, but it's something that could actually happen. And I guess a lot of the discontent came from the fact that ECAF was never elected; they were appointed way to start, and there was supposed to be a referendum at some point to elect ECAF members. I think that was the original intent. But the referendum system was also supposed to be live at the time of the EOS mainnet launch. So there's a lot of
community distrust in the current ECAF setup. Whether or not we can get back to ECAF, it's open to question. I think that in its current format, the people have spoken. In deleting ECAF seems to be the popular opinion.
That being said, this thing has been at 1.6% for the last week now. So the first couple of days we gained a bunch of votes, and I haven't seen any movement in it since then. So maybe it was just a small minority that seems to be really upset.
Yeah, well, we need to get people to turn out to vote, and people aren't turning out to vote. It took us, 5 days or 6 days to shoot the mainnet live when we got everyone on the network. Everyone cared about seeing it become live. The world kind of was on the edge of their seat, waiting for us to launch the network. It took a while to get. What's our total voting percentage now on chain?
Getting pretty high up now.
So we have a large amount of tokens that are getting out to vote for block producers, which is great. But beyond voting for block producers, we need to be able to vote for the changes of this network. Now, I can't, it's super important. If this network is going to survive, if governance is going to prove to be the solution, this delegated proof of stake, we need to have people come out and vote, whether it be by proxy or whether it be by individual voting. So if you are a community member and you'd like to see this network survive, and by survive, I mean, if we're not able to make changes in the network, we're going to be stuck in the water with a network that doesn't work. And so if you'd like to see EOS itself improve, we need to either have you get out and vote or allow your vote to be proxy voted, so that people who are going to be running this on a more consistent basis, get out and make some decisions about where this network needs to go. The network is a living and breathing project, and if we can't improve upon it, then we're just as bad as the Ethereum consensus, and we're not going to have a network that survives over the next few years. So getting out and voting is objective number one. But right now, to do that, we're to look at the referendum. it's easy going to blocks.io/vote/referendum. Ideally, we'll tie those back into the EOS enhancement proposals, so we can have a standard of where these the enhancements are referred to in a consistent academic structured manner. But currently, getting out to understand where that is and getting out to vote for it is hugely important. So deleting ECAF. I agree with you. ECAF was in the fact that we were supposed to be able to vote on ECAF, supposed to be able to vote on who the members were first. That was something that I think there is some judgment on currently, and we should probably at least pull that back. We do now have the online referendum system, which is great. Being able to pull back ECAF and either do it the right way or figure out a way that we're all voting properly to move things forward, I think should be the standard. So yeah, right now we've got a mutiny. So we have to all figure out how to steer the ship together. And hopefully we can all get on calls like this and maybe push the community forward into doing something that's going to be the right thing for the network. So a second thought, a second concept, actually to be discussed in one of the hot topics now is net allocation. Or actually, do you want to go to a lost key update?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to throw in one more stat on the voting thing before we finish that one up. Too. You said there's 25% of the votes, 50% of the U.S. stake right now, 47.5%, and 24.5% is voting. So a referendum needs to get what, 15%?
15%.
So that means we need to get to 60% of the voting total of EOS has to vote for something. Seems like a really
that
high
seems like a super high threshold. Yeah. So repeat that again, kiddo.
47.5% of EOS is staked, of which total EOS 24.5% is actually vote. So of the people that have voted, and this is across 6 months, of those people, we need to get 60% of them to vote in one direction of a proposal in order to get it passed for the referendum.
Yeah.
Pretty high.
That's a pretty high number.
Yeah.
Maybe we look at, and maybe one of the enhancements that we can write down and talk about in our direction would be scaling that out of the number of people that vote. Maybe out of the number of the people that vote, there's 15% of that number that is the ultimate decider in a referendum or not. Maybe if people don't like that, they show up and they vote. And so that number becomes a higher number and everyone is able to work properly with it. But trying to get 60% of people out to revote or pass something is just a difficult thing. I mean, these are going on, hopefully daily. We haven't had any of these pass yet, so we can't say that any of them have been successful in what's going on.
One way it could happen is that people start using proxies more often. Proxies have done a pretty good job of, I've seen, if you look at the referendum right now, there's quite a few proxies that have voted for them, or for or against different referendums. I see the Luke EOS proxies voted on almost all of them.
Luke Stokes is a fantastic citizen of the community. Thank you, Luke. Where is the best place for people to recognize what a list of what voting proxies they might want to join?
EOS Authority is the only one that I found that puts up registered vote proxies. It's under proxy research portal on EOS Authority. That'll give you a proxy list.
Awesome. So what is that again? What's the URL?
EOSauthority.com/proxy_list.
So EOSauthority.com/proxy_list has a list of EOS proxies to consider joining. Maybe if you're a member of the community and you want to designate your vote to someone who is more active in trying to lead this community, determine maybe what proxy to join. If not, then be able to be confident in voting in a once a week manner. Might be something you want to do to stay active, to help the community along, to make sure that we're getting we're getting movement in the forward progress of the community. So, all right, thank you for that. Next, lost keys. What's going on in the lost key situation? This is a hot topic. We have a lot of people who didn't register properly initially, have had issues joining the network and want to. I mean, we've got the EOS 911 channel that's been very active in at least explaining to people that, yes, we are aware this is a problem, and we may or may not be able to help you. ECAF had tried to come up with a solution for doing this, but then all hell broke loose and ECAF is being more or less disbanded. So what's the current situation with the lost keys, and where do you think this needs to go, Kedar?
Okay, current situation is we have a group of about 5 or 6 block producers together working on a technical solution. Code is going along pretty well. We're meeting up once a week. We have the contract almost completed with development. EOS Authority has a front end from the EOS.io unregistered. So before we did lost keys, there was an issue to do unregistered accounts. So people that couldn't register through the, or not couldn't, forgot to register through the Genesis process, a way for them to claim accounts if they had leftover EOS in their Ethereum accounts. A lot of code from that we were able to reuse in the lost key one. So the development on this one's been a lot faster. We're almost done with development. We're in testing basically at this point. We're hoping within the next 2 or 3 weeks we can have some sort of solution out that people can then start using. And how it's going to work is if you have a lost key, you're going to sign a message with your Ethereum account that was linked to your EOS account. You're going to post that signature onto the EOS chain. There's going to be a 30-day waiting period to mitigate any hacked accounts that could come through. So in case your account gets hacked, somebody signed a message, there's a 30-day waiting period where you can block the movement of your tokens. And if those 30 days passes, we can run another transaction that changes your key to whatever you give to us. So it'll change it to a new key.
I think that this is a governed chain, and the idea of us being able to get back property that belongs to the rightful owners of this chain is important. I personally think it was difficult for a number of people to be able to understand registration. Hopefully,
it was buggy too.
It was totally, yes. I mean, this isn't just lost keys. Some keys were invalid. Some people were creating accounts that they were not able to use whatsoever. And so that's just a lot of them, and being able to make sure that they get back to what they rightfully own is something that's super important. So hopefully we can see some direct steps there in the right way. Probably won't be absolutely perfect, but it sounds like it's been very well thought out. This is something that we've been working on for a while. It will all be on chain. So hopefully that's something that we can get moving forward, and hopefully the contributors to the lost key solution, maybe that can go into the EOS enhancement proposal system and be all recognized for their contributions. This has not been an easy solution. Who are some of the other, aside from us at LibertyBlock, who are some of the other mainnet VPs that have been really vital in helping this along, Kedar?
EOS Authority, EOS Nation's been hosting the meetings, EOS Authority is doing the front end. EOS DAC has been writing a lot of smart contract stuff. We borrowed a lot of the smart contracts from Mateo from EOS Argentina, and he's been assisting us along the way. Generios and Liquid EOS have been on the calls. I hope I'm not missing anyone.
Awesome. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get moved forward. It's an important. It is an important aspect to be looking at. The next one that we can go over is the net limits issue and the pending doom of size and spacing for the network if this isn't addressed. Romy, you want to talk a little bit about the net limits issue? You interested in discussing that, or should we? Let's unmute yourself and.
Sorry.
Fight. It's a fight. It's a mute fight.
It is
There you
a fight.
go.
I mean, I think, I mean, I don't have, I don't have much of a say, to be honest.
Yeah,
Do you want to like lead the debate and then I can, or lead the discussion and then I can kind of jump in where I want?
sure, sure. You know, from Kadar and I, right now, the current system basically doesn't charge until after, it was 100 kilobytes.
Yeah, 100 kilobytes per block and 1 megabyte is the cap on it right now.
And 1 megabyte is the cap. And in the current solution, filled with no cost up to 100 kilobytes, means that, you know, people can freely spam the network, allowing the storage of, you know, absolutely useless data in some cases, to combine in what could explode into 6 terabyte per year issue. And ultimately, you know, collecting 6 terabytes worth of information, if it was all useful information yearly, I think everyone would be glad to do it. If it's not useful, then it just gets to be a really unruly cost for managing the network. What are the current proposals right now, Kadar, and who has been kind of leading the charge on trying to move this forward?
Team Greymouse was one of the first people to bring it up. They noticed they were doing their own back-end calculations, and they were calculating off the max cap, and they were saying you could fill, with sufficient amount of EOS, you could fill 100 terabytes in a year. And they were going around asking people like, hey, let's be realistic. Does anybody have the capability to support 100 terabyte block at the moment? The answer is obviously no, because even if we could support it on a single node, copying it over to a new node would be essentially impossible. Syncing a new node would no longer be possible. Like Bitcoin, they're at what, 10 years, and their block size is, so their block logs are at 150 gigabytes or something.
It's about 200, a little over 200 gigabytes right now. It's about 210 gigabytes.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we're at one, I checked yesterday, we were at like 160 and we're 6 months in. So it's a major issue for us. Like, we're gonna have serious issues syncing the chain next year. So it's something we should have been aggressively tapping this, I think, from the start itself. We should be at half the block size, log size as we are right now, database. But better late than never, I say we should be, what we've been looking into, we've been doing a bunch of analysis on specific days, so we're trying to figure out, Bart from Block One told us that what you want to do is you want to set it at a level where congestion pricing doesn't kick in too often, because there's certain parameters, there's an algorithm that determines it, and there's a bunch of tuning parameters on it, of which only 2 are exposed to block producers. The only 2 things we can control is the target and the max cap. There's a bunch of other things with the curve on how it responds and stuff that we can't control. So he's saying with the way the curve is currently set up, until they've done their first hard fork and they can expose more of these items to us, until then, we can't trigger congestion pricing too often. Otherwise, we'll just end up with a weird spiky behavior in the network. So we're doing analysis. We've got another couple more days of analysis we need to do. We're probably going to settle on somewhere around the 100 kilobyte block limit, with about 30 to 40% being the target. So 30 to 40 kilobytes being the target. The max blocks we see right now are around 70 kilobytes in a day, and the average block is around 10 to 20. So setting around 30, we'll get to a point where we still have to stake core network. It's not going to be cheap as it is right now. It's not going to be unlimited as it is right now, but it's still at a point where we're not going to affect any dApps that are using a lot of network at the current moment, affecting people's ability to deploy contracts. So the reason we couldn't set it below 100 kilobyte cap is because it would seriously impede people's abilities to set larger contracts. So we looked into it. I think the largest contract right now is like 80 kilobytes in that or something. So 100 seems like a reasonable place to place the cap at.
Yeah, and ultimately, for the network to survive into year 2 and 3, if we were at a 20 terabyte synced data in year 3, I mean, that's absolutely insane. You know, and continue, and if the network grows like we think it should and could, if that number balloons even larger, it's just not feasible to be able to do this.
We'd have to restart the network. If we go anything above like a few terabytes, I don't even think it's sustainable to maintain the current network without some sort of pruning mechanism or something. Exactly.
Yeah, and you know, that doesn't seem optimal. That's not what we want to be doing. the decisions around what data to prune, I think would cause another pitchforks and hard fork situation. So ultimately, we need to figure out a solution for it. That's kind of the current state of the nation, current state of the network. What we hope to do with these calls is encourage communication and conversation amongst the BPs for some of the more visible issues. I don't know, right now, guys, do we want to go over some more of the referendum items just to be looking at them and discussing them? Or are we pretty satisfied here to where we can send this off to the community, get some of the ideas going, and then kick back next week with a larger discussion?
Yeah, let's kick back with a larger discussion.
Yeah, we're not looking to cannibalize on this forum. If you would like to be a part of these discussions and you're an EOS mainnet BP, then look for the links every Sunday night in the EOS mainnet BP Telegram. We'll also try to get this out into as many other telegrams that we can.
Should hit the Chinese ones definitely too.
Absolutely. We've specifically chosen a time daily that could be useful for global participation. We realize that this is a global network, and ideally we can reach out to some of the Chinese BPs and some of the other international BPs for translation. So that's going to be important, and we need to make sure that that's done directionally as well. But this was a test. This is always a test. We're going to try to see whether or not we can get a broader conversation started. Hopefully the community will recognize that and recognize that we're going to be leading this in a structured manner, so we can continue to improve upon what is so far the most used public blockchain network in the world. We are so happy and excited that everyone is starting to use this as the explosion of more applications start to come onto our network. Let's make sure that we can run it properly. And until next time, everyone, thank you from the LibertyBlock team, and look forward to your participation and your votes moving forward. Have a great day. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.